Hey, welcome to the 10-Minute Daily Reality Check live from New York City. David Wygant.
John Keegan.
We are here and we're going to talk today about something you don't know. LFIs.
LFI.
John,
wow.
Can you tell them what an LFI is and how they can literally get away? Well, let's not talk about how to get away from LFI yet. We'll set the scene about what LFIs do.
Right.
Because LFIs aren't even around you when they come into your consciousness. I mean, when you think about an LFI, you will literally, I want you to imagine yourself, when John tells you what an LFI is, I want you to imagine yourself on this carousel, this kiddie carousel. You know those carousels with those weird looking freaky horses and the music that goes nin, 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 and it just keeps going round and round and round and round
Why
and
would I want to
round.
imagine myself on that? That's scary.
Well, because that's what an LFI is doing. John, what is an LFI?
Oh, an LFI is a low frequency person. And they often...
Well, that's an LFP.
Oh, okay.
Low frequency individual.
Oh, no, low frequency
Right.
individual.
Right, individual. Now, if LFP is somebody different, we'll talk about LFPs on another show.
Okay, all right. LFI is a low frequency individual. And a low frequency individual can come into your life in many ways. It could be the person working behind a counter somewhere. It could be even your boss. It could be someone you work with. And a lot of times, high frequency individuals will attract LFIs into their life in a romantic sense. And this is when it all goes to hell, because that's when you get the most intimate with somebody. And they can and a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this, is to take an LFI and you see the best in them and then try to bring them up to your level. Try to bring them up to the high frequency world that you've found yourself in. But in reality, and this is 100% true, LFIs are in a certain frequency. That doesn't mean they can't change or grow, but they're in a state of unawareness, of unconsciousness, of lost in the lower frequency energies of life. They're usually very reactive, a lot of reactivity.
Very fearful.
Very loaded with fear. Controlling and always making the negative, the easiest negative choice all the time. So, and then when a high frequency individual meets them and they have some kind of connection, they see the best and they want to bring them up. But once you get emotionally entangled, you're saying once you get to become an emotional partner with an LFI, that's when it gets the worst. Because now what you're saying is to this LFI, you're my equal, we're partners. And now you're trying to be partners with someone on a super low frequency. And this is going to be interesting. I'm going to say something very interesting, even political at one point. Is now you're this high frequency...
I like the warning.
Yeah, you're this high frequency individual, and you're saying, I'm going to take the low frequency individual and bring them up to my level. But it never, 100% never happens. What happens at best is the high frequency individual comes all the way down into the middle. But what actually usually happens is they come all the way down. So now
they get on the carousel.
Yeah.
And they keep going in circles. And what happens is for every circle on the carousel of life, they go lower and lower. And all of a sudden now, they're having arguments with the LFI. Mm-hmm. Instead of the HFI walking away, the LFI is arguing, trying to get the LFI to understand. And what happens is the second you are dealing with the LFI and you're arguing, that's what the LFI wants to do, because the LFI knows that they can't keep up with the HFI. So the LFI is literally going, yeah, I'm going to bring them down. I'm going to bring them down. I'm going to bring them down to my level. And they'll engage you via text messaging, and they'll engage you during emails, and they'll poke at you, and they'll just keep bringing you down. And the worst thing is, when the LFI has totally infiltrated your carousel of life, what happens is that then you're sitting around with your friends talking about the LFI. I don't understand how I can't make them understand. What am I going to do? I've already invested my time in this LFI. I've already invested so much emotion in this LFI. And then what happens is you start getting these circular thoughts inside your brain when you're away from them, which takes you out of the present moment and takes you out of your high frequency moments that you're having, because you're constantly trying to negotiate with an idiot.
And that's the truth. And And when you're constantly trying to do that, and they're completely unaware they have a whole other operating system they're working on. It's a very limited operating system, but often what I've seen with an LFI...
It's like DOS.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all that they know, and they know it so well. And often what I've seen with the LFI is they're completely righteous, self-righteous. They believe in their system so much more powerful, and then they make up all these sort of...
They never apologize.
They never apologize.
No.
And then they make up all these sort of rules that don't apply to actual real life. And they let all that common sense. For example, an LFI might say, believe that her or his feelings are 100% true all the time, even though and that whatever they're feeling, even though it goes against all the facts, is 100% true. And even though their feelings change every 5 minutes, like the wind, they're always 100% true, and they know.
And their stories make Aesop, who wrote Aesop fables. They make Aesop look like a sane person. They make all the Disney romance fantasies actually really feel like you can actually make them happen, because the LFIs are unreal. I mean, they are consistently, and they're also pointing the blame. There's always the blame. Always pointing the blame. They so do not want to take responsibility. So there's something that I was talking about with a client just before, John, and you were looking at that. In order to get away from an LFI, you have to literally put the LFI in its place. So this is what I do with the LFIs. I picture the LFIs at the intellectual level that they're at. So most of the time I look at them as a dog or a cat or a baboon in the zoo. And what I do is I put a picture on my phone, and every single time the LFI texts me or calls me or tries to engage me, I literally have the picture of the dog come up instead of them. So all of a sudden this really dumb mutt comes up with a cocked side over their face, and that picture shows up, and I laugh and I think to myself, oh my God, a text from an LFI that I have to deal with. Because, let's just face it, in life we're going to have to deal with LFIs. If you have an ex that you have to deal with because you share a kid, if you have a boss that you have to deal with, if you have a coworker that's an LFI.
You go to Starbucks maybe.
You go to...
Not Starbucks in particular, I would call it Starbucks, but if you go get a coffee somewhere, the person behind the counter might be an LFI.
Right, so you need to put pictures to all the LFIs that you need to be in touch with, so that when it rings, you start laughing, you got a smile on your face, and you can literally go, yes, LFI. And then when an LFI does something to you or triggers you, you need to get off the carousel by literally imagining a dragon that comes and takes the LFI into a dungeon. To me, whenever an LFI triggers me, I imagine the LFI being dragged to the basement of my house, which was scary, behind the boiler in the boiler room, right?
Yeah.
And literally, being dragged there, and then with a lock and key shut, because that boiler room was scary as hell. The LFI now is pacing in the boiler room, and the boiler room is full of like this evil energy, because that's where they belong. So the dragon is protecting the LFI, and me, I hate basements. I've been afraid of basements since I was a kid, so there's no fucking way, John, I'm going down to the basement, right? Because I'm not going to go visit the LFI.
But I don't want them in the basement of my house.
Where do you want? No, my house that I grew up in. I can't visit there anymore.
Yeah, I just want them in the basement of my house. I don't know where it is. I don't want to know how to get there.
Ooh, what about the house from like Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah, like leave them over there.
Or wait, I got a better house to put the LFI in.
Yeah.
How about the house that Buffalo Bob from Silence of the Lambs lived?
Oh, shit.
Right?
Yeah.
That house. How about if we put the LFI into Buffalo Bob's house?
Leave them there, and I'm never going to visit there. And another
No.
Unless you happen to live in Buffalo Bob's town, then don't do it.
Yeah, and
Find
then,
another one.
yeah, but then if you live in Buffalo Bob's town, the only way you're going to go visit them in the basement with all those random moths and butterflies is to have night vision glasses, like Jodie Foster had in the movie.
True.
So we believe that the LFI, so John and I, our LFIs are going to Buffalo Bob's basement, into the hole where Precious was thrown into. Remember Precious?
Yeah.
Precious! Remember he said, put the lotion on the body, rub the nipples round and round. Remember how psychotic he was?
You remember it too.
Yeah, because I love that movie. I know, it's kind of creepy, right?
Sure, I remember when you say it, but it's weird that you have it all memorized.
I know, it's kind of a strange thing.
And you even acted it out right.
The voice was great.
Yeah.
Put the lotion on the... But that actor was so good. Whenever I see that actor, he was on an episode of Ray Donovan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he played the guy who owned the casino. Do you remember that? When Ray's father wanted to rob the casino, do you remember that episode?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was a casino owner.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that was Buffalo Bob. So, all right, so and then you can imagine Jodie Foster saving you too, if that's what you really want to do.
Wait, let me get down to business here.
Okay.
Because the LFI can often be, like I'm saying, our most intimate relationships. So how can we, one of the things an HFI would have is a lot of empathy and compassion. And in this area, the empathy and compassion, which is a beautiful thing, can actually get in the way of detaching from the LFI, because the HFI always looks at the LFI and looks for the best in them, or looks for the weakness in them, and sees what they could be. So it's hard for them to demonize the LFI.
But the LFI is a demon.
Should we be demonizing the LFI, or is there a way? Because right now we're demonizing it.
No.
Is there a way to evolve beyond that?
No, you're not.
Let the LFI go back to its 17 lifetimes of evolvement.
Yeah, the LFI is not your responsibility.
No.
Because you and I are coaches, so we get involved in a relationship, or we have to work with somebody that's an LFI. If it's a coaching situation, then yes, John, our responsibility is to make them grow into an MFI, which is a medium frequency individual, because there's a step.
Yeah.
You go LFI, MFI, HFI, right?
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is, if we're in a romantic relationship, or we need to deal with somebody that is an LFI, it's not our job, it's not our problem. And that's something that you need to look at. You're never going to romantically succeed with an LFI. And if you happen to have co-parenting with an LFI, you're never going to succeed in that. You're just going to have to put them for exactly where they are, and you're going to have to realize they are who they are, and they're no longer your problem. And yes, I know when you're a parent, you think to yourself, God, I hope that LFI doesn't rub in and turn my child into a CLFI, a child low frequency, or LFC, a low frequency child. Right? Your job is to stay high frequency all the time, so your child actually becomes an HFC, a high frequency child, and then an HFT, a high frequency teenager. There's a lot of stuff people need to digest here right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So find the place that you're going to stick your LFI, whether it's Buffalo, put the lotion on the body's basement, or if it's going to be your basement from home, or you're going to shoot them to the moon. Figure out where you're going to put that. Figure out what type of individual or what type of animal, because every time you engage in them, it's like trying to rationalize with a dog. And I'm sorry, for those of you that think dogs are real and dogs have human emotions, they don't. And neither do LFIs.
Wait a minute, you're saying dogs don't have emotions? That's crazy.
Human emotions.
They have beautiful emotions.
Human emotions.
And if you want to say that they're not reasonable creatures, I can believe that, because how can we know? But you can't say they have emotions.
Well, you know what they are?
What?
They HFS, they're high frequency souls.
Well, whatever. I mean, they're just dogs. Not every dog's good, right? Like every person's not good.
Yeah, there's some dogs, but I believe dogs that are
Do you think all dogs are good?
I think all dogs are good. I think people turn them into bad.
Well, then maybe all people are good and people turn them into bad.
Absolutely. I think all souls come into this world good, and then they get turned into bad by their parents.
Well, now we're getting into it. If someone is a low frequency individual, can they ever awaken or
no? They're
unconscious.
It's not our job to. It's not your job to be in a relationship with an LFI. Because then you're going to bring yourself down to their level. And if you bring yourself down to their level, you're never going to grow yourself. So you're going to really deprive yourself of the personal growth and personal development that you have, because you're dealing with an LFI. And the LFIs usually come from LFI parents.
Oh, an LFI...
LFPs, actually.
Oh, LFPs.
Low frequency
that's
parents.
true. That's
or LFGP, low frequency grandparents.
Yeah, or LFGPPs. Right?
Yeah, or LFBs, low frequency brothers, or LFS.
Yeah, all that. You're right. We have it all. Now, what I was thinking is a good analogy here is when you're in a relationship like that. It's like, being a psychiatrist at a mental home, and then getting involved with one of your patients, and acting like your patient is sane. Is that a good analogy? And then
That's a great analogy.
Then all of a sudden, the psychiatrist, will become insane.
Wait, John, wait, I got the visual. I got the visual. So the next time you're trying to date an LFI or trying to stay in a relationship with one, just picture having a romantic dinner at Bellevue. Okay, in the psych ward.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? Or John, what's that place, on the east side and stuff, that abandoned psych ward that was really big here in the 60s?
Yeah.
What's the name of that place in Manhattan?
Randall's Island, is that it?
Yeah. Just imagine taking the fucking crazy boat to Randall Island.
Yeah.
And then going into one of those boarded up rooms and having a romantic dinner with somebody in a straitjacket. Because after a while, if you hang out with the LFI, you're going to be in the straitjacket. Anyway, we are way out of time today, man. We'll have more about LFIs, Disneyland dumpers, and everything else on another show.
Yeah, any day. Anyway, come on back tomorrow for more self-help that doesn't suck and get on the highest frequency.
And do me a favor, spread this to people that need it, all the LFIs out there in the world. It's not your job to save them. It's our job to save them. 10-minute daily reality check. Love us, like us, spread the word. We'll see you tomorrow.